Well, we are back for another episode of A-Town Rundown. We had a wild NFL week that started on Thanksgiving Day. However, before we get into that, we're going to go over the Hawks again. We're going to keep touching on the Hawks. Once football season ends, we're going to fully go into the Hawks and talk about some off-season changes with the NFL. But before we get there, let's talk about the Hawks and let's hand it over to Jeremy.
Yeah, man. So, we'll do what we've been doing the last couple of weeks, which is taking a lens, look into the NBA through the lens of the Atlanta Hawks. But, yeah, right now they're sitting at 13-9, which to me, like, being a Hawks fan over the last 5 years, outside of that 2021 season, like, that's pretty damn good. It's been a long time.
It's not bad.
Feels like a long time since we've actually just been over 500, like, over a month into the season, which is good. Trey's still out. Trae Young was reevaluated on Sunday. They gave him 2 more weeks. Then he's going to be reevaluated.
And speaking of Trey, I got very excited because I saw Trey on the side and I saw him doing warm-ups. I saw him hitting shots from the chair. And I was like, oh, shit, Trey's about to play. But like you said, they reevaluated him and he's still not clear to play.
Yeah, but the fact that he's out there on the court, like doing warm-ups and stuff, or just shooting around like during warm-ups, he's not doing like real, like, pregame warm-ups. But that means a lot. And I think where the team should be at right now, and I kind of agree with this, is the team's doing well right now while Trey is healing up.
Yeah, absolutely.
No reason to rush him back. He's not, he's not a second, third year player anymore. Like risking him getting injured again could really, put the season off the rails, although maybe not. But you're going to have more injuries as we go down the road. So you don't want to be in a position where it's like you might lose Jalen Johnson for a week or two at some point in the season. I hope not, because this year, like him being healthy, like he's clearly making a massive leap towards a all-star bid, which, barring that he stays healthy, I think that he's a shoo-in for that, especially in the East, man. He's definitely one of the top guys in the East right now. But, you could get to that point where it's like if you're down him and Trae Young, now we could be looking at a skid.
Yeah. And we could be losing a lot of parlays there.
We certainly could be losing a lot of those. But also, you could – right now, the East is so tight, and if it stays that way and you go on a 4-game skid, like all of a sudden you might have a hard time getting back in this thing. So right now, just like
yeah, absolutely,
we've got a good core of who's playing while Trey's out. We beat Cleveland again last week. We beat Philadelphia on Sunday in double overtime, which was a scary game because they gave up a big lead in the fourth quarter, but got us through overtime, got into double overtime, won it. Then the next night on a back-to-back after doing double overtime, had to play the best team in the East, Detroit Pistons, in Detroit last night, which we lost that game by 1 point, but the way that they were playing, heartbreaking, but I was watching it with my wife and I just kept telling her, like, at some point in this game, they're going to run out of gas because they were staying up there, trading back and forth, like who's in the lead with Detroit. Going down the stretch, the Hawks are pretty good on turnovers. Detroit wasn't, but they were able to. They just out-rebounded the hell of us, which is a problem when Porzingis is out right now too. So he's not even on this road trip.
But I'll also tell you, like when they're playing like this, it does lead you to believe that there is a lot of promise when Porzingis and Trae Young come back.
Right.
It does look like that will round out the team, that will complete out the team. And I'm not saying we're going to go on big tears or anything like that, but it's quite possible with them. It gives you a very optimistic feeling of hope the way they're playing right now, knowing that just around the corner, we're going to have 2 more solid players come back and we'll be a complete team again. And I think that's either going to be the defining moment, or that's going to be when we figure out, all right, there's too many pieces to the puzzle that don't fit. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. So I've definitely thought about that because there's guys on the team right now that are getting more minutes than they normally would. Guys like Mo Gay coming in as one of our bigs because Porzingis is out. So we need that depth. So he's getting a lot more minutes, but I want to say we have 12 wins right now, or maybe it's like 10 wins with when Mo Gay plays more than 10 minutes. And then it's like 3 wins when he doesn't.
Okay.
So like that scares me a little bit, but you got to figure out how to make that work. Maybe now you can kind of ease Porzingis back in. Now he's not coming back from like an injury, but he's had an illness. So this illness has kept him out where he didn't even go on the road trip. So they knew it was going to be at least a couple days.
You don't want to be on the basketball court with bubble guts, dude. That's the last
Absolutely
thing
not. And getting on planes and all that and back-to-backs in different cities and all of that. Like, hell no. Totally get that.
I mean, they're already 7-foot giants. And when you're fucking feeling sick and ill and you're crammed into, like, granted, they do fly first class, but it's still not the most comfortable thing in the world being on an airplane when you're that big and you're not feeling well. So,
yeah, absolutely. So, But I will say on that, to that same point about certain guys not getting minutes, Quinn Snyder's been running this lineup quite a bit over the last 2 weeks, and it involves Vit Krejci, Keaton Wallace, and Luke Kennard, and all three of them just cannot create shots for themselves, and so the offense goes very stagnant. And a lot of times in these games, we're seeing a swing happen in the score, and we have to start shuffling guys in. But it's like when Trey comes back, Keaton Wallace isn't going to have all of those minutes that he's getting right now. And now we do need him as a depth piece. And Keaton has balled out a little bit, like here and there, and everybody has on this team, especially like since Trey's been out. Everybody's been playing really well. But when you have lineups like that, and you can look at the stats and see just like how bad the Hawks are when they're on the floor, and it doesn't matter who we're playing. Luke Kennard still trying to fit into the lineup. In my opinion, I think they need to get him more shots. He needs to get more shots up because he's one of the deadliest 3-point shooters in the league that we've seen in the last 10 years. So he can be a weapon. I think just right now, it's when he's out there, it doesn't look like anything's getting created for him. Now, that being said, like something I brought up like 2 weeks ago is that we're missing a lot of that half-court game without Trae Young, and we still are. But Nickeil Alexander-Walker is coming out and kind of being Trae's backup and playing his ass off. Like, this guy's got so many skills. He can create for other people. He can create for Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson is creating for a lot of people, which is great to see out of your big like that. Like, he can, not only can he get above the rim, but like he can push the ball forward. He can bring the ball down the court. He can set things up. Onyeka Okongwu has stepped up a lot, and he'll move back into, I guess, the backup role when Porzingis comes back. But that's fine because he's still gonna just because you're not starting doesn't mean you're not there at the end of the game. Yeah,
he's always been what you can refer to as a utility player. He's always been that guy.
Well, to me, it was like his first season or two. Like, you never saw him shooting threes. It was always like, wow, he's a much more solid guy behind Clint Capella, and it was only a matter of time when he would take the reins over Capella. And last year he did that. Now Porzingis coming in, he's kind of back on the bench, but he's turned out to be like one of our lights out 3-point shooters now.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because guys in the league, like, they're leaving him open right now, and they shouldn't, because he's not afraid to put up 10 threes in a game. He's already hit, I think, 7 in a game, maybe 8 in a game already this season. Whenever I used to, you know how it is, man. You're watching the game and like someone will get the ball and they're open and you're like, do not shoot that. And then they shoot it anyway, and then it goes in. You're like, oh shit.
Well, unfortunately, I've had that feeling a lot more than anybody else with Trae Young. To be completely honest, there was a year
the half court shit
after the year where we almost went to the finals. Every time he got the ball in his hand, I was like, he's about to shoot it. He's about to shoot it. I'm like, dude, no. Right. And it was literally like a 50-50 thing. He'd make these miraculous 3-point shots, or it would just be a fucking air ball, or it would hit the rim, and I'd be like, God fucking damn it. But at the same time, you got to take those shots to make them, and it's either like you either
you
go
want your
down
best
the
player
hero,
taking shots like that.
Yeah, you're either getting critiqued left and right, or everybody's praising you, and there's no in between.
Right. I've seen.
But I will
say
it does.
Big applause, and then I've seen it also.
That's what I'm saying. It does take. It does say a lot about Trae Young, though, just being willing to take those shots, to have that confidence in himself. So if you got it, you got it.
Yeah, and I listened to Trey's podcast today. He puts one out like every month or something. And this was him injured, and kind of, you can tell he's reading all the shit online because people are talking about like, oh, I bet Trae, isn't happy about his team, like that kind of, the shithead things that they say about Trae all the time. But when you hear Trae talk, you're like, oh, he doesn't think like that at all. But the media just paints him this way, that he's like a selfish player and all that. And his whole podcast was just about like, he brought up each individual guy that's playing right now, and talked about how good they're playing and how he can't wait to get back, and how he can't wait to play with Nickeil, and like how hard he worked on getting Nickeil to come over here in the offseason as a free agent. And for the reason being, like, you're seeing it now, like how he's able to create for other people. And he's like, he's going to create for me. Like, I'm going to be able to, step away and make sure that he still gets the amount of shots that he's putting up because he's killing it. And as well as Jalen Johnson, there's a lot of people that say like, oh, Jalen Johnson is now taking over this team. Like, there's not going to be room for Trae to come back. I think Trae's going to try and make it a point that like, no, there is going to be room for everybody. And if you know anything about Trae Young and you watch him on a weekly basis, like a lot of these media people don't, he loves getting assists. And maybe I don't know if he does it in a selfish way or just like that's where he knows he's the most deadly, because he draws so much attention. And that he is able to make some of these plays, and he is able to fake people out and get them to come off of who they're guarding and get switches like that. and find people coming off screens, with a crazy pass that like it adds just a whole nother layer to the offense of this team. Now the defense will go down again. I fully expect that to happen.
Yeah.
But, with the defense being as good as it is, and if you're out there with Porzingis and, you're out there with Alexander Walker and Jalen Johnson or like a Kongwu, like, okay, there's still plenty of good opportunities for the defense to happen there. It's just, I think that the Hawks want to play fast. You can get steals from guys like Dyson Daniels, and you can shoot it down the floor, get easy points. Like we when we play a lot of these teams, like you start to see the other team like get out of breath, because we're stopping them 3-4 times in a row. We're going on these runs. That's kind of how we're winning all these games. Like we'll be able to go on a couple like 12-4 runs, and then they're gassed and they got to switch in players. And now it's like, we can go back to half court game.
Right.
So
absolutely.
I got a good feeling about the Hawks this year. We'll see Trey again in 2 weeks. We hope. Again, that'll be another evaluation. But seeing him on the court, like we were talking about, get some shots up at warm-ups, I think that's a good sign.
Yeah, it was a good feeling. It was a good sign. So, all right, well, that wraps up Hawks Talk. Like I said, we are A-Town Rundown. Jeremy and I, we're the Miller Lite boys, always got one in hand.
That's right.
We have one ready right now to talk about Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving games were crazy. So every
hope you had
team,
a good Thanksgiving, by the way, everybody.
Dude, it was great. It was great for me. I hope it was good for you.
Yeah.
I know you were surrounded by a lot of Chicago heads, so I'm sorry.
I was. Yeah. I was.
We'll talk about them in the moment. We will finally give the Chicago Bears their praise. Don't worry, because the thing is, they actually do deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about the Thanksgiving games, because the thing about the Thanksgiving games is every team that was favored to win lost. And it starts with the Detroit Lions. Now, the Detroit Lions had this game and they lost to the Packers. They lost 31-24, but it kind of happened in a disastrous way. Like on only the fourth offensive play for Detroit, while blocking on a run play, Amon-Ra St. Brown got rolled up on.
Yep.
So when you get rolled up on, that means that two teammates' legs collided into his ankle, and that's not good. So St. Brown is down. He was evaluated on the field. He walked off under his own power, but he was gimpy. And initially he was listed as questionable to return, but he was officially ruled out as the game went into the second half. So now you're down your best receiver, and the medical test confirmed that he had a low ankle sprain, which is not something you want to see. And then you got to wonder, like, okay, now it gets to the point where we gotta. You don't have St. Brown. You don't have your wide receiver one. You don't have your best target. So that leads to more quarterback disruption. Jared Goff lost his go-to guy, and the shakeup early on like that really kind of forced them to figure out what the fuck they're going to do now. So the only thing you have to do is give the ball to Gibbs. But the thing is, Gibbs, much like Jonathan Taylor or somebody like that, if you just feed him the ball and you become predictable, that's exactly what happens. I wouldn't say he got shut down. He did not get shut down. He did have 30 carries for 119 yards and a touchdown. Not a bad night. That he was doing 4 yards per carry, but what happened was the Packers saw that that's what the game was going to lead into. So the Packers tightened up on early downs. Detroit was getting in second and long situations a lot, and it was forcing Goff to throw into predictable spots, and that's where fucking the pass rush started hammering in on Jared Goff. Detroit's run game, like I said, became predictable at that moment. So they didn't have and also I'm going to tell you what goes on with Gibbs. They start loading up on safeties and linebackers, and then Detroit started trailing in the fourth quarter. And when you're chasing the game, you can't run your way out of it, right, especially against a team that's hitting you with constant pressure, So, and the thing is, Gibbs isn't the pound it 25 times. He's a space player. He does screens. He does option routes. He does wheel routes and motion. And
he's a little more like a Bijan Robinson type player.
Yeah. But the problem is, who helps create space for him? Amon-Ra St. Brown, and you don't have him. So the bottom line is, like, Detroit didn't exactly get stuffed, but they got out situationed, and the Packers were able to fucking capitalize on that and take the victory on Thanksgiving Day. Which kind of proves what I've been saying up to this point about the Lions is they're becoming a predictable team. Their offense is starting to get stale. And on top of that, they're becoming a very predictable fucking team. Like it really is a situation much like Atlanta, where if you're not going to feed it to this guy, you're going to feed it to that guy. And that's all you're going to do. I do think that like they have more of a caliber in a way than we do. So I think St. Brown and Jamar Gibbs might be a little more shifty, might be able to make they might have just a better offensive line than we do. But at the end of the day, when you go to the well over and over and over again, it's eventually going to get exposed. And considering, because when you look back at the New York game, they pretty much relied on Gibbs to win them the game, which is what they could have done here, but they had to do it so early on in the game that it didn't work out in their favor this time, and they weren't able to do that against the Packers.
Yeah, definitely. And I do think that Jordan Love looked a lot better in this game. It looks like they're starting to take the reins off of him a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
He was making some shit happen. But with Detroit, when Amon-Ra St. Brown goes down and now you become one-dimensional like that in an offense that was already starting to look kind of bland over the last 3-4 weeks, maybe longer than that, really. I worry about the Dolphins or the Detroit Lions a little bit right now because now they're not even in the playoff picture. I mean, they're in the hunt, but Packers they have a wild card spot, and now the Bears are leading their division. So, about to start, fighting uphill if they don't get it together in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. And speaking of teams that are putting up a good fight, let's go into the Cowboys versus the Chiefs.
Yeah.
The Cowboys are now 2 wins in a row against highly favored teams. They beat the Eagles last week. Mm-hmm. Now they beat the Chiefs. Dak Prescott was looking great. He was 27 for 39, 320 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, but he took on 0 sacks. He was throwing to CeeDee Lamb in the first quarter, Javonte Williams. But also you had, on the other hand, you still have Patrick Mahomes. 23 for 34, 261 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, but he did take 3 sacks. So you look at those numbers and you're like, holy shit, like where did the rest of this go to? So on the Chiefs, you had Rashee Rice, who was doing great. He had 92 yards, 2 touchdowns on 12 targets, and he was the clear focal point for the offense in this game. Travis Kelce, 5 catches, 45 yards, 1 touchdown. Hollywood Brown, 2 catches, 20 yards. He had a late touchdown that gave KC a shot for a comeback that they just couldn't finish out. But the Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb went off in this game. CeeDee Lamb, 112 yards, a touchdown, and he had a 51-yard bomb that completely flipped the momentum. George Pickens was looking good, 6 catches, 88 yards. Jake Ferguson, 5 for 36. Javonte Williams, the running back, 17 carries, 59 yards, 21 yards in the air, and a receiving touchdown. So you had a lot of standout players. Both teams came to play. I really think
certainly wasn't the offense's fault.
No, and I really think at this point the Cowboys are playing with something to prove, and I don't think they're the joke team we thought they were at the beginning of the season. I think they had a very rough season, but I think Dak Prescott is definitely starting to show flashes that, he's been in the MVP race before for a reason. Like he there's something about Dak Prescott that he always flies under the radar, but people don't realize you give him the right players around him, you give him the right team around him, he's actually a really fucking good quarterback. And I feel like late in the season, now this was in November, now we're in December, this is time where that situational type football really comes to life. And on the other side of the ball, Kansas City kind of is faltering in a big way. I didn't think they would. Definitely this late in the season, this is usually when you see Kansas City come to life and be unstoppable. Now their playoff hopes are starting to dwindle. Like we've been saying this whole time, the dynasty might not be there anymore. And granted, it was a high scoring game. It was a well fought game, but you're losing to teams you shouldn't be losing to. You lost to the Jaguars earlier this year. I don't necessarily think you should be losing to the Cowboys in this fashion.
Yep.
So it is a very slippery slope for Kansas City right now.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about them. I heard something today when I was just kind of trying to freshen up for the podcast a couple hours ago, and someone was saying that there's no doubt in their mind that this year's Chiefs team is better than last year's Chiefs team, but they're not getting lucky like they were last year. Remember how many of those games?
Yes.
Remember how many of those games they won on some kind of controversial call from the refs that was, a one-score game.
I can think of at least 2 of them.
I can think of a couple. There was the one where it was the roughing the passer that should have been a turnover on downs. The Kyle Pitts, Yeah,
you're talking about the game against the Falcons.
Where they called pass interference, or they didn't call pass interference, and it clearly was, and it would have been a game-winning touchdown. But right now, and
that was here in Atlanta too. That's where the Chiefs shouldn't be favored, but they somehow still were favored.
Yeah,
there.
We got an interception on Mahomes that day. We did everything, we should have to win, but they weren't calling the game the way that they should. But you got to look at the AFC standings right now. It's like, they're looking from the outside in because they're 6-6 now. I think so. I think
Yes.
they're sitting at
Yeah,
500.
yeah.
Okay, so
They're either 6-6 or
the wild
6-6.
card right now is Indianapolis Colts 8-4, Buffalo Bills 8-4. So it's not impossible because on the flip side, we're talking about the Cowboys. So
Mhm.
they're second in their division, and they're like 5-3-1 or something.
They're second in their division, but I think
the Eagles are 8-4.
I was about to say I think the Eagles still have 2 games on them.
Yeah, they do, but let's see here. NFC East. Yeah. Okay, no, they're 6-5-1. Yeah.
6-5-1. Okay, yeah.
So that tie is going to hurt them. Yeah.
I forgot about the tie.
That tie is going to hurt them. But with the way that the Eagles are looking right now, I was
like, yeah, but then I forgot about the tie.
Yeah. So they're 6-5-1. They actually might have a chance just because the Eagles look so bad right now. So
well that's what I'm saying. The Eagles are falling off hard, and like but
so the Cowboys might have a better chance of making the playoffs than the Chiefs. Is kind of what I'm saying.
And the thing about
isn't that fucking crazy?
Short.
Yeah.
Long story short.
Yeah.
But like the thing that's getting me about the Cowboys right now is the defense is looking alive. They don't look dominant. They don't look perfect, but they look alive. They're doing their fucking job out there.
Enough.
And when you can do your job well enough to beat a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, you don't have much to worry about going into the postseason or marching towards it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, well, I'm glad you agree with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moving on to the next game.
Agree.
Sometimes, but sometimes we don't. And I think it's our differences that make us have such a beautiful relationship, Jeremy.
That's right.
When I was thinking there, when I was sitting there at the dinner table with my beautiful family on Thanksgiving Day, cracking open a cold Miller Lite and drinking some hot turkey or eating some hot turkey, I was just thinking, you know what I'm ultimately thankful for? Jeremy Harlan. That's my boy.
Man, that's it. That's what I said when I was saying grace at Thanksgiving. I'm so thankful to have such a great podcast co-host doing the most fun podcast in the world.
Yep.
Talking about the worst team in the NFL.
Yep. All right. Well, with that note, I'll see you guys next week. All right. So let's jump into this. Joe Burrow made what I thought to be an untimely comeback, but he came back and he proved everyone wrong that he is ready, that he is taking the season seriously, that he is going to try to make a push with the Cincinnati Bengals. And the Cincinnati Bengals made some fucking noise, 32-14 against the Baltimore Ravens, who right now the Baltimore Ravens were on a tear. They were on a 5-game win streak. You heard Lamar say every game is win or go home, and this was a go home situation. So now it's looking bleak for the Ravens. It doesn't look great for the Bengals. Like this isn't the game that's going to put them in the playoffs, but if they keep trending like this is a game that could possibly take them there. And what it really proves
in that division, I mean, it's not totally out yet. I mean,
and what it really proves is like Joe Burrow has come back and he's trying to give you like I'm still here statement. Like I can still do this. I will tell you though, there's a lot of things they got to do moving forward. The Bengals are going to have to get to at least 10 wins. And on top of that, they're going to have to play perfect football. And the offensive line is going to have to protect Joe Burrow like he's the fucking Da Vinci Code. Like straight up, like there's so many things that have to go right. But with the way he was playing, I think they actually might be able to at least make a good run. Baltimore had flashes where they looked good, but it was just ultimately inconsistency. A couple of drives, they did move the ball well. They had some classic chunk plays, but the protection wasn't consistent, and they ended up behind the chains way too often. And they looked like they were forcing things instead of letting things happen the way they normally do. So it was like, if they can't clean one string drive together, then they're back in it. And it never really happened. They never did get a clean drive together. And Cincinnati just took them for a ride. It was a complete momentum game. It was a road divisional win, prime time against the Ravens. So the confidence is back for the Bengals, at least for now. But we have seen some confidence just with the Bengals this season so far, even with the Joe Flacco wins and stuff. And as far as consistency goes, they don't seem like they have the consistency in their corner to keep this going. We're going to see how it goes. The numbers, I will tell you, weren't great as far as completions. Joe Burrow was 24 of 46. That's a big, that's not a great one.
Yeah.
261 yards though, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I mean, but at the same time, you got to think he came back after missing almost the entire fucking season.
Oh yeah, he's knocking the rust off. And trying to, get back into being in football shape, which is hard to do when you're injured, obviously. But I think this game was more about Lamar looks bad.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Lamar was 17 to 32. He did have 246 yards, but he had 0 touchdowns and 1 interceptions. He also had 2 fumbles, and even though he ran a little, his overall night was marred by fucking turnovers. I will say there were some Ravens players that were trying their best.
Derrick Henry in the first half looked awesome.
Yeah, he had 60 rushing yards and had a touchdown, but it went away. Like you said, Isaiah Likely had 95 receiving yards, and he led the Ravens receivers in yardage. And when you're playing a team like the Bengals and you're a team like the Ravens who are on a 5-game win streak, somebody with 95 yards leading your receivers in yardage in a game like this, that's not anything to get too happy about. They had 5 turnovers, and most of them were self-inflicted. Like I said, 2 fumbles and an interception. That's 3 of them right there, and there was no protection. The pressure was breaking them down. Baltimore's press protection got completely fucking wrecked. This was one of those games where one quarterback, being Joe Burrow, looked rusty early, but grew into it and delivered what needed to be delivering, whereas Lamar was beat up by pressure and self-inflicted errors. And I mean, okay, that's football, like that's football. Yep. It really is.
Yeah, but when I look at this game, it's like it's good to see Joe Burrow back. And I'm sure he's going to get better every week, or that's the hope at least. And I could see it happening. But with the Ravens, I don't think that they're in that big of trouble though, because they're still leading their division. Mm-hmm. I don't believe in the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially what we saw out of them this week. Aaron Rodgers does not look like he's going to lead them to the playoffs.
No,
they're still going to play.
They got destroyed by the Bills, who they got absolutely destroyed by the Bills, who aren't playing that well.
Exactly.
But also,
they ran the same play like 19 times in the game, and it worked every time. Isn't he
playing with a broken hand right now?
I don't know, but I know his face looked all fucked up at one point
he's
in the
old
game.
Too, so
he looked like fucking Joe Pesci in Home Alone 1. You look at the comparison, dude.
But I'll tell you, dude, with the Ravens, they need to fix the turnover problem immediately. They need to get the offense line settled. That's a big problem because there's too much pressure. There's too much strip sacks, collapsed pockets, and too many rush throws. They got to recenter the offense around its identity. Dude, you have Derrick Henry and you have Lamar Jackson. Focus on that shit, dude.
How healthy is Lamar?
I
don't really know.
He's not playing like himself.
No.
And I'll tell you that. And with the NFL, they don't have a full transparency rule. Like they're not going to tell you what's really fucking going on.
No, he wants to get in the playoffs. So
and
they want him to play.
Yeah.
And he wants to play.
And the thing is, like, they can either let this loss derail them or they can respond with a vengeance. And, to do that, they're going to have to recommit to complementary football. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And they're going to have to make they have to make all the rest of their divisional games personal. And Lamar can't do it alone. You have to avoid panic football. The O-line needs to tighten up. They need to realize that their turnovers are going to destroy them quicker than any opponent. And if they don't fix that, they might as well hang it up now.
Right. Yeah. Well, look, I think with the Bengals at least is does it feel like they're wasting this tank season? Because you could tank. You could tank, man. You could tank, and then you could go and get some help on that offensive line. Go get go get 3 of the top 5 offensive linemen in the league in the draft.
I feel like I wish that the Falcons were in a position where they could tank. I wish we could tank and it could mean something.
So I'm watching these teams that aren't tanking. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah,
I wish we could tank right now.
Dude. Just fucking tank. Yep. The Saints are doing it.
Saints are doing it, man. And look, let's see if it pays off for them in a couple of years. But
the thing is, I'm fully convinced the Saints are tanking. I'm truly convinced. Watching them play and the way they're playing, I feel like they're just fucking.
Because the Falcons may not beat another team this year, but the Saints, it's a coin flip.
Yeah,
they might.
I mean, dude, we got to play the Seahawks next, and the Seahawks.
Watch, that's gonna be the one that we win.
Phenomenal.
But that's gonna be the one that we win. Watch.
We got to play the Seahawks. We got to play the Rams.
That'll be one that we get.
We're going to win both of those games.
Yeah,
we're somehow going to win both of those games.
Yeah. If you clip just this little section of us saying like we're going to beat the Seahawks, we're going to beat the Rams, we're going to look like the craziest motherfuckers on the internet.
But then it's going to happen.
But it is going to happen. And to be quite honest, like I don't know what the Falcons are playing for at this point, but we'll get there.
You know what would be a really fun Falcon thing to do? For them to just like make a fucking tear and just fuck up the Rams first round pick? that we traded away.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. I'd say no top 10 pick for you, bitch.
Yeah.
You know?
So, anyways, moving forward, a team that we're finally going to cover, and this is all for Jeremy's in-laws and his close friends.
Well, and just, it's time. It's time we talk about him.
Sure. You know what? Because at this point, and that may have sounded sarcastic.
They're the number one seed in the NFC right now.
They're the number one seed. They are a good team. The Chicago Bears beat the Philadelphia Eagles 24-15. So the Bears moved to 9-3, and this is their 5th straight win. And now they're alone atop the NFC North, leading into one big game at Green Bay on December 7th.
That's going to be good.
The Eagles fall to 8-4. This is their 2nd straight loss, and the reeling label is officially on the table. So let's talk about the quarterback breakdown. Let's talk about this Caleb Williams guy who, granted,
you're a huge fan of. Oh, wait, no.
I
I
still don't think Caleb Williams is a good quarterback, and I will explain to you why I don't think you guys are winning these games because of Caleb Williams, but I'll get there. So let's talk about his numbers. And right here with these numbers, I'm going to tell you, he was 17 for 36. He had 154 yards. He had 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked twice for negative 10 yards. He had a quarterback rating of 49. Not great. I mean,
absolute MVP numbers.
Yeah. Okay. So what I will say, let me digress. Let me take the personal opinions I've had all season out of this, and let me say this: like, that stat line isn't the worst, but the thing is, context matters, because he didn't have to carry the offense.
Right.
The run game was doing it for him. His biggest throw was a 28-yard touchdown to Cole Kmet in the 4th to push it to 24-9 and basically ice the game. He did have 1 bag pick, but otherwise he managed the game. And I will say, he hasn't been bad at game management because he does have very good coaching on his side. He does have a very good run game. And what we've been saying, what we've been drilling into everyone's head, especially about the Atlanta Falcons, is good coaching can make an average player and an average team play good football. And that's exactly what's going on in Chicago. So is Chicago a good team? No, but they're a good enough team to be coached well and be led into victory by good coaching.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. I think number one there is the coaching, and also Chicago just owned Philadelphia in the trenches, man. Like, every single one of their backs was able to run the ball with no problem.
Oh.
And
what was the killer moment? The killer moment. What did they try to do? What did they try to do? And what happened?
You know what it is? Exactly. And that's what I mean.
A tush push.
Yep.
A tush push.
And that's why I said the trenches and not just talking about their defensive line, because when you're not able to get away with that tush push shit, the Eagles look very pedestrian.
Yeah, it was a tush push fumble that set up the Bears' long touchdown drive in the 4th. And then on top of that, Jalen also threw a pick to Kevin Bayard. So on paper, Jalen had 19 for 34, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. He didn't get sacked at all, but he had a quarterback rating of 19.3. So that's not a good day at the office for Jalen Hurts.
No.
But the run game for the Bears, this is what's winning y'all games when you have DeAndre Swift and how do you say his name? Manengai, however.
Yeah.
But 130 yards for him and then 125 yards for DeAndre Swift. Both had a touchdown each. So the team total on those rushes, 47 carries, 281 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Hard to lose when you're doing that.
It's hard to lose right there. On top of that, this is where I'm getting at. This is where good coaching comes in. The time of possession, the Bears had the ball for 39 minutes and 18 seconds. The Eagles only had it for 20 minutes and 42 seconds. The Bears had 425 yards with their time of possession. The Eagles only had 317. And then when it came to third down conversions, the Bears were 10 for 17 and the Eagles were only 4 of 12. And how do you relate that? How do you learn how to do that? How do you learn how to manage the game? How do you learn to control the ball? How do you learn that if I have the ball, they don't? You have good coaching.
Yeah. Yeah, and you really, it's more about just converting your third downs, staying on the field. When it comes down to that, get yourself into a 3rd and short. And when you're able to run the ball and you can get 3-4 yards every time you hand that ball off, no problem.
Yeah.
And then you have a team that wants to run and want to control the trenches that way, because Jalen Hurts obviously doesn't know how to use his wide receiving core, as talented as they are.
Yeah,
it's a recipe
his
for
running. Our Saquon Barkley doesn't know how to use him either for whatever fucking reason.
Not really, but it's like you can only use him if you've got the lead. Not you can't use him at all, but you know what I'm saying. Like you can't lean on him. He can catch out of the backfield, but you got to be able to do more.
But it's also so crazy with how spectacular he was last year. It's crazy how much can change in one football year. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But with this, with Caleb Williams, my thing is like he's not the greatest player in the world, but he definitely has helped. But the Bears are winning because they finally,
in my opinion,
the Bears have finally built a grown man football team with coaching that knows exactly what it wants to be. And Caleb's not carrying them, but he is complementing a system that's built to punch you in the mouth.
Yep.
But let's keep it real with Caleb. He's never had a holy shit, this kid's amazing game. The only holy shit games that Caleb Williams has ever had are the ones where he's had disastrous games.
Holy shit, it's bad. Yeah.
But
I agree.
The game management, the game decision making, he does have enough. He's got enough arm talent to keep defensive backs honest. He's not losing games.
No, he's keeping the ball safe for the most part.
But the thing is, the Bears roster is just flat out fucking good. You have a top 5 offensive line. You got 2 legit running backs. You've got defense that's playing fast. The locker room knows their identity. And then Ben Johnson's the real MVP.
I agree.
Ben Johnson has built it perfectly for a rookie quarterback, or a quarterback of Caleb Williams' age, a young quarterback, because he's putting it to where the team has heavy run game, play action, bootlegs, quick reads, safe throws, and high percentage completions. And then I think Johnson basically said, we're not going to throw Caleb into the deep end and ask him to save the franchise. We're going to build the boat and then let him sail it,
I love it.
That's what you need. And
the Falcons interviewed him.
Well, when you have clock management, you have the Bears that are putting together 10-minute drives. They're doing 3rd and 4 converted by the run game. They're keeping Caleb in 2nd and manageable. They're keeping the defense fresh, and they're killing the opponent's morale. Like when you're doing 10-minute drives and you are just suffocating their defense. Like I'm saying, you don't need to do all the flashy plays. Not every play has to be a 20-yard bomb or a 20-yard run.
Right.
Move the ball.
Just move the ball.
We're at 3rd and 2. Okay, first down. You
10 yards at a time.
You guys are getting gassed. You guys are getting exhausted, aren't you? You guys are getting exhausted. Well, guess what? Oh, we've been running the ball. Oh, we're about to throw it. You didn't see that coming, and you can't catch us because you're tired.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man. No, I'm totally with you on that. And I don't know. I think the Eagles are, again, looking pedestrian. I don't see them getting back to the Super Bowl. That's for sure. Hell, they could miss the playoffs.
I think we can say with our whole chest, and I hope that this gets to Arthur Blank's ears, you fucked up by not hiring Ben Johnson.
Yep.
You fucked up royally. Because look what he's doing in Chicago. That could be what he's doing in Atlanta right now, because Chicago,
how about their team,
their roster. Yeah, but Chicago and their team and their roster, the Patriots, their team and their roster, no better than we are. No better than the Falcons.
I'd say talent-wise, yeah. I would 1,000% agree with you. I mean, we got holes, but so do they. And look what they're doing. And it's because they have holes.
They have just as many holes as we do. They have just as many holes as we do. And not only that, we have aside from we have a veteran quarterback who has gone to the playoffs, who has played in high pressure games, who with the right coaching, I feel like Kirk Cousins could have been, the caliber we needed this year. I think you get Kirk Cousins with a guy like Ben Johnson, we could have been stellar.
Yep. We will talk about that very soon.
All right. Anyways, so moving on. The Houston Texans, they got CJ Stroud back, and they were able to beat the Colts 20-16. However, I do think that even without Stroud, they might have been able to do this because the defense of Houston caught on to what everyone else has caught on to, and that's if you just silence Jonathan Taylor, Daniel Jones is not good enough to win the game himself, and it's becoming a collective trend, and I think this is going to be the downfall of Indianapolis.
Yeah, I'm starting to get a little worried about them too. But Houston's defense is really good. And Stroud coming back looking good. Like, Houston might fuck this up for some teams in the AFC.
They're going to fuck it up for a lot of people. Yeah. They really are.
I mean, you saw what they did to Buffalo.
Really good fucking football right now.
They did this to the Colts. I mean, those guys got to be playing with confidence right now.
Yeah,
and with a defense like that, and then now you get your quarterback back. It's kind of like when I was talking about how the morale of the team changed for the Ravens when Lamar came back. I know that they just got their ass beat, but they still went on a tear. You lose one, I think they're still going to go on more of a tear. Houston could be doing that same thing.
Well, you got to think too that before they lost this game, they did kind of get their legs swept out from under them by the Jets for a quarter of football. Mm-hmm. So maybe this was just maybe this was the Ravens just playing a better team than the Jets is really what happened.
Possibly. Certainly a take.
But all right, the Texans, C.J. Stroud, 22 or 35, 276 yards. He threw one interception and no passing touchdowns, but despite the interception, he drove the winning touchdown drive in the fourth quarter, and he looked like a healthy C.J. Stroud, which is what you want to see. I think C.J. Stroud's an amazing talent.
He's good.
I really is.
Yeah, he's good.
I think C.J. Stroud is so fucking good at what he does. I would have loved to have him. We probably could have had him, but we won't get into that.
Nope.
Daniel Jones. So Daniel Jones, I will say he's a good enough quarterback, but he's not good enough to get it done by himself because he was 14 for 27. He had 201 yards. He did throw 2 touchdowns, but he also had a rough time under pressure, especially when the Texans were blitzing. According to Next Gen Stats, when he was under pressure, Jones was only 2 of 11 for 14 yards, and the offense moved enough to stay in it, but Jones struggled under their pressure the entire fucking game. So, like I said, I think they only held Jonathan Taylor to like 85 yards and no touchdowns. So it has become a trend that like, okay, we'll see if Daniel Jones can beat us by himself, and he can't. So the people are just taking their chances on that, and the gamble's paying off.
Yeah, totally. And I think with the Colts, man, it's like it's now they're not leading the division. Jaguars are leading the division.
And who the fuck saw that coming?
Who saw that coming? And I think that they got to play them again. Fuck? So they could start to create some separation. The Bills have the same record as the Colts. Then you've got the Chiefs that are kind of, I know that we're both a little down on them, but like, let's say they do get back into this race. They could get bumped.
The problem with the Chiefs
is
the
Colts
Chiefs
can
come to life when they need to. You know what I'm saying? The Chiefs can come to life when they absolutely have to.
Let's see if they do. This could be the first year that they missed the playoffs in a long time. Yeah. Well, I mean, they limped their way into the Super Bowl, and again, we talked about how lucky they got.
We kind of put them in the Super Bowl. It was for ratings,
right? If by we you mean the league, the no fun.
When I say we, I collectively talk about everybody in this entire world because we are all one.
The NFL universe, even you Saints fans.
Yeah. You know what, Saints fans. With how bad your season's going and the fact that we actually did go out there and beat you, you guys get a pass this week. I'm not going to harp on the Saints this week. You guys get a pass.
You know what? I feel like if I met a if I met a Saints fan at a bar, I think it would be more of like 2 like old war veterans that fought on opposite sides. And it's like we're not going to kill each other.
So
right
how
now.
You doing, man?
But we are going to reminisce on the battles.
Yeah.
Because now it doesn't matter. No one cares about us.
But then I'm going to play you at pool and I'm going to do whatever it takes to fucking beat you.
Yeah, that's right. That's where the competitiveness comes back in.
But yeah, so long story, back to the Colts. Basically, like the NFL, all the teams have noticed the blueprint. And once the rest of the league sees your weakness, they all copy it. So if you guys don't switch up your reliance on Jonathan Taylor and work in other key players, this is going to continue to happen over and over. It's happened twice in a row now. So you guys can't keep going to that well and expecting other teams not to pick up on what you're doing.
Right. I'm with you.
So let's talk about the Rams versus the Panthers.
Yes. Yes. Very interesting game.
In this game, Matt Stafford threw his first interception, and I think he had 28 touchdowns.
28 touchdowns and no interceptions, and then he immediately throws 2 interceptions right after that. And he set the record. He set the record, by the way.
Yeah. And they got punched in the mouth by the fucking Panthers.
Big time.
You know, 31-28 in Charlotte. Yeah, and it's
a bad pick six from Matt Stafford too.
It's kind of proving that Charlotte might be a pretty difficult stadium to play in this season. Surprisingly,
it is. No, the Panthers are very good at home. Other than like that Bills game where they got absolutely trounced at home.
Yeah,
they've looked good. I mean, they put 30 on us. I mean, they've been getting good wins. You play what we all said last week was the undisputed best team in the NFC, the LA Rams. They come in and they play him like that. Bryce Young, it's what's going on with this dude? It's like one week he looks awful.
I don't know.
Like one weekend he looks like Johnny Manziel is, with the Browns, and then one week he looks like fucking Johnny Unitas. It's crazy.
Just Johnny, buddy.
Well, he was out there, fucking swagging out, dude, and he was playing well.
Like, which Johnny do you want to be today? And then you had Stafford, who basically had a season low. He was only 18 for 28, which granted, he only missed 10 passes, which is going to happen in the game. But you don't see that happening with Matt Stafford this year. 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he had 2 interceptions, 3 total turnovers. He had a lost fumble. There were stretches where he looked sharp, especially with Devontae Adams on your side, but the turnovers were just killing them. And like you said, that pick 6 by Mike Johnson, 48-yard pick 6 in the first quarter, like that's fucking insane. The Rams did still manage to have 379 total yards, but you're not winning games on the road in the rain with a 3-0 turnover deficit only they had less than 25 minutes of time of possession too.
Yeah, no, that whole thing just didn't look right. And I'll say that, like, Matt Stafford probably still the front runner for MVP right now.
Yeah, I would say so.
And
do you want to talk about the MVP race contenders after this game? Because I think I pulled up some notes on what would be some really good contenders.
Sure.
But we'll get there after we fully finish this game.
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit more than just the Rams were bad in this game. And that Matt Stafford,
I think it was just that Bryce Young was really fucking good, dude.
Well, I was going to say, like, nobody knows how to feel about this Panthers team. And really, bigger than that, dude, nobody knows how to feel about the landscape of the NFL right now. Like, there is no true front runner for Super Bowl contender at this point after Thanksgiving, which is crazy.
If I told you these stats and had you guess who the quarterback was, you would never in a million years guess that Bryce Young did this. He was 15 for 20, 206 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 75% completion.
He looked cool back there. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And this is Bryce Young we're talking about, dude.
Right. And this is Carolina developing a quarterback, starting to look like he's going to be something in the NFL. But what I was going to say about
also, dude, Chuba
Hubbard's great. But they've also got Rico Dowdle. So it's like you got 2 badass backs over there.
Yeah.
So I think what I was going to say about the Panthers is, you get beat by the Panthers. Everyone that got beat by the Panthers this year, and we know this from experience, you're like, how the fuck can we lose to the Panthers? They're so bad. They're so bad. They're terrible. It's like
they're bad every other week.
But they're beating people. They're beating good teams. And so it's like, at what point do you start to look at those losses to say, like, maybe it just took us until week 13 to say the Panthers are good. They're right there in the NFC South race.
Because, dude, they're moving into 7. They move into 7 and 6 going into their bye week, and they're building something that sounds like a winning football season
too.
Yeah, and
so that could shift things.
The Bucs actually surprisingly won this past weekend.
They did, and Baker did play. And I still stand by what I said last week as far as, like, the Bucs have an easier schedule, but Carolina's part of that schedule. So if Carolina can get hot, and I'm not sure if they can because they're kind of a schizophrenic team at this point, but when they're good, they're really good, and they can beat up on anybody. So if I were the Bucs, I wouldn't be, and the Bucs looking as shaky as they do over the last 3-4 weeks, I'd be a little scared of the Panthers right now. They're looking, I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl. I mean, I think Chicago's got a much better chance at this point just because of their scenario and the wins that they have stacked. But I don't know. The Panthers might upset the Bucs this year, and I'm not sure I'd be that mad about it.
Yeah, no. I completely agree with you. It's really wacky how the Panthers are starting to shake up into a good team this late in the season. Because I haven't been paying much attention, but then when I saw after that win that they were 7 and 6, I was like, holy shit, they're 7 and 6 now. Like, this is starting to shake things up a lot.
Yeah, before you know it. I mean, look, maybe they get to 10 wins. You get to 10 wins in this division, you're winning it.
Yeah, you're solid.
But
speaking of MVP talk, So I got a few things to talk about when it comes to MVP. Obviously, Matthew Stafford. The reason you want to go with Matthew Stafford, he's the top 2 or 3 in passing yards. He leads the NFL in passing touchdowns. He has a career low interception rate, even though he didn't look that great in Carolina. But that's a huge for voters because they love when you can have an efficient gunslinger in there. He's top 5 in passer rating. The Rams are a winning team. They're likely playoff bound. He's got fourth quarter game winning drives aside from last week, but he has multiple of those this season and voters eat that up too. And then there's the narrative of him being 37 with something to prove,
Yeah.
It's almost like he found the fountain of youth this season. He's playing incredible football, but there's somebody else who's kind of surging right now. And I know you've mentioned him before, and we mentioned it as a joke, but who could kind of be a dark horse is Drake May.
Yep, absolutely. No, that I've heard a lot of people bring him up.
Yes.
Especially for what he did on Monday night.
Yeah, when you look at Drake May, he's top 5 in completion percentage among quarterbacks with real volume. He's top 10 in passing yards. He's got an incredible touchdown to interception ratio. It's something like a 22-6 or something like that. Mm-hmm. He has a top 5 quarterback rating. The Patriots went to a terrible fucking team to actual contenders with him under center. And I mean, it's second year breakout. He's carrying a franchise that hasn't had a good quarterback since, early Mac Jones. So that's a really good narrative too, because he's the flashy young quarterback who's pulling kind of
not
like
the quarterback I think of when I think of the Patriots, but good reference, Mac Jones.
Not at all.
Yeah,
not at all. Well, I'm saying
look pretty good when he was first there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I could have obviously said Tom Brady, but since the Tom Brady era, the most recent one, like early Mac Jones looked good, didn't look so great towards the end, but Mac Jones is doing good now. So
he is future Falcon Mac Jones.
So now, if we were going to talk about running backs, the only running back I can see this season that's a clear MVP conversation, if they find a way to, eat up the holes right, would be Jonathan Taylor, and this is why he's being mentioned. And it's statistically, he's been absurd as a running back. He's top 3 in rushing yards, top 2 in rushing touchdowns, leads the NFL in total touches and scrimmage yards. The Colts have a winning season because of him, not in spite of him. It's not just that he's there being a, 3 yards in a cloud of dust running back. They're winning because of Jonathan Taylor. They're losing because you're stopping Jonathan Taylor.
Because it's all you have.
And when you rush for 100 plus yards in multiple games, the Colts are going to have a, high win rate. And he's carrying Daniel Jones. He's carrying the offense. And when you look at that, if you want to count in a running back into the storyline, he's right there for you.
Yeah. Totally.
Now, the last guy I'm going to mention, because you can always say Josh Allen, you can always say Patrick Mahomes, and we don't even have to go into those guys. But
yeah, they're not out of the race yet, but they're not front runners right now.
Dak Prescott.
I've said it during this season.
Dak Prescott.
Like their record shows more about how bad their defense is. The Cowboys we're talking about, but Dak and that offense has looked pretty deadly. They can put it up on anybody.
Yes. So Dak is top 10 in passing touchdowns. His completion percentage is around 67 to 70%. He's got a relatively low interception rate. They look way better when he plays clean. The record's improving exactly when he started to turn it on. And with the Cowboys' resurgence, it's completely all on Dak Prescott and their defense, but mostly Dak Prescott playing good football.
Yeah, absolutely. No, he's taking care of the ball. He's finding guys. I mean, they've got good receivers down there. Offense is not a problem for the Cowboys. And next year, if they can fix some of these defensive woes, could be back in the conversation. ESPN would love to talk about the fucking Cowboys being relevant again. And I wouldn't be surprised if, the news coverage that because the Eagles are sliding the way that they are, and I think what you and I are kind of predicting is going to happen to the Eagles. If the Cowboys win that division, man, like that would be a case for Dak Prescott to be in the conversation for MVP because the writers will love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I got one more thing before we go into the Trouble Watch. So last week we touched on Shedeur Sanders, who was able to get out a victory against the Raiders. And you and I both said, well, hey, next week they got to face the 49ers. We'll see what Shedeur's really about.
A real team.
And we did. He faced the real team, and he got demolished. They lost 26-8. He was 16 for 25 for 149 yards. He had 1 touchdown. He didn't throw any interceptions, but he took 3 sacks. And it's kind of like, I think that this was his moment to understand he's playing grown man football because, granted, he it wasn't the worst. It wasn't the worst out of any rookie quarterback I've ever seen.
No.
But it really was like he was definitely trying to survive out there because he was against an elite defense, and it really just showed all the work that the Browns need to do on the offensive side of the ball. I think if anything, this is a learning experience. This is something that can really humble you. It can really be your welcome to the NFL moment. And so that's why I was trying to tell you guys, if you're a Browns fan, keep the champagne in the fridge because he didn't play a real team when he played the Raiders. This past week, he played a real team, and now you see what the Browns really are.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. But I will say, to Shador's credit, I saw a little clip of him in the post game. It was either post game or it was like, Monday or Tuesday interviews. He was basically asked, if he liked what the play calls were, if he liked like what the coaches were doing, and he had a very mature answer, which was, I'm not going to sell out my coaches.
Yeah.
I got to play better.
That. I really did appreciate
so
that.
I'm going to give him some credit for that because he does get a rap for being immature and, being boisterous and all that stuff. So when he's not doing that and I see it, I'm going to say it, so give the kid a little bit of credit, take his licks. He's got to learn. It's a long season.
And I will say with the promise he showed against the Raiders and with what he was able to do against the 49ers, granted, they didn't win the game and he only put up, the numbers he did. He still didn't have the most terrible game you expected him to have. And I do think if they find a way to build a solid team around him, he's going to be a better than average quarterback. He has the promise of being that.
I think right now he's an experiment. Let's see, Yeah. Like he's a risky bet because and it could pay off really, really well, but there's a reason he fell that far in the draft.
Yep. All right. So,
all right.
I guess it's time to move into the Trouble Watch, or you got to do something.
Yeah, let's do it now. Trouble Watch. I got to do something. I got to pee real quick.
All right.
So before Jeremy,
before Jeremy pisses himself, let's get into the Trouble Watch. I am starting this Trouble Watch with the Kansas City Chiefs because their empire is starting to look something we haven't seen them look in a long time, and that is completely human. Their offense feels out of sync. Mahomes is having to bail every time on every single drive. There's too many slow starts, and the AFC playoff picture, like you said, is getting crowded as hell.
Yep.
So it's almost getting time to panic if you're Kansas City.
Yeah, totally agree. Kansas City, again, might be better than they were last year, but not getting the luck that they had last year. And I don't just mean like the calls from the refs, because there's no way that just like disappears. But I want to say in this game, they didn't get any penalty yards, any penalty first downs. So maybe that is the case. Maybe they're just not getting any help now, and that's why they're looking human.
Right.
But with the AFC standings right now, on the outside looking in, I think it's very likely that they miss the playoffs. The Colts could collapse and they could get back in there, but the Chiefs, they can't slip up like this anymore.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the Colts because up next on Trouble Watch is the Indianapolis Colts. And the reason they are on this is exactly what we've been talking about earlier. Because if you stop Jonathan Taylor and you make their passing game try to beat you, suddenly the Colts aren't so scary. And that's exactly what's happening. If Taylor gets bottled up, the whole offense collapses. Quarterback play has been inconsistent. Defense is good, but it's constantly stuck in bad field position, and they're losing winnable games late. And I'll tell you, if the Falcons were able to stop Jonathan Taylor, we would have won that fucking game too.
If we were able to stop him there's a couple key moments. Yeah. I want to say one time, but it's because we did stop him sometimes. But having him leak out like that, you just can't do it. And that was the difference in the game.
And one more on the Trouble Watch, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yep.
Because right now they have 2 straight losses. The cracks are starting to show. The tush push is being fucking exposed. They still sit at the top of their division technically, but this doesn't feel like a first place team right now. They have sloppy football. They have red zone issues. The defense is giving up big chunk plays, and Jalen Hurts doesn't look 100% confident anymore. And their momentum's tanking at the worst possible time. Their offense is starting to look predictable, especially predictable with that tush push, especially when you're doing the tush push 4, 5, 6 fucking times a goddamn game. The defense is giving up late game drives, and the Cowboys are heating up, and Washington isn't going to be an easy out either. Granted, Washington, did lose that game against the Broncos, but they're not going to be the easiest team to beat right now either.
And even if they do make it into the playoffs, it's like, okay, if they win that division, they get a home game. Maybe they get through that. But if Chicago ends up being the number one seed, and we talked about how Chicago doesn't seem like a world beater team, but they're kind of a unique number one seed if they get it, because that means the NFC runs through Chicago, and Chicago is a very hard place to play. It's going to be very cold.
Absolutely.
And they've already shown that they can beat the Eagles.
I was just about to say that it's going to be very cold there, and like we don't get that kind of cold.
They got passionate fans up there.
Yeah, and we don't get that kind of cold that they get down there. But I vividly remember, going to my cousin's houses for Christmas or going to my friend's house for Christmas. And, in Atlanta, it's like 35, 40 degrees. But you throw a leather football in that degree, it feels like you're catching a fucking rock.
Yeah.
So just imagine when you're in Chicago and it's -5. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Now, I mean, Philly's used to playing in the cold, but I just don't see them. The reason on the trouble watch for me is it's not that I'm sure that they're going to lose the division, and they can if the Cowboys get hot enough. We've talked about it a couple times today, but I just don't see them doing anything in the playoffs. You're going to have to play the Rams. You might have to play the Bears. Maybe you get lucky and you play the Bucks.
But at the same time, we're talking all this and we're saying there's all these teams that could show up, but I'm also seeing a lot of these teams that are just going to flat out collapse when it comes to the playoffs.
They will. It's inevitable to happen, but I think the thing that we're learning about this season, week 13, nobody's that good. Nobody in the league's that good.
No.
We thought the Rams they were starting to look like that last week. I don't think either of us feel that way anymore.
Yeah, there's no it's weird because
everyone
think
can be beat.
Maybe the past 10 years of football, there's always been a clear cut, all right, this team's going to take it all the way.
Yeah.
Haven't seen that at all this season.
Yeah, you see teams get to 9-0 and stuff. We didn't see that this year.
Yeah. But all right, so we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to hop into the Jets-Falcons game. So you guys won't experience the break, but we will. So
yes, time travel.
All right, so let's hop into the Falcons versus the Jets, which I think should have been a winnable game. But when you look at the way, especially special teams played, it became a very big, just clear-cut disaster at that point.
Yeah.
A game that we should have had, we could have had, we did have. It's very rare for this to happen this season, and I'm not putting everything on them, but this is kind of a game where the special teams really did shit the bed for us as we lost 27-24 against the Jets.
I don't know, man. I've been saying all season that the special teams has been one of our big weaknesses. We give up those big returns all the time, having against the Colts. And then you also got to throw all the field goal misses that we've had throughout the season. And I like Zane Gonzalez, and I know he missed a 50-yarder, but he came back and hit it a 54-yarder. But all that goes under special teams as well.
But that was his first miss, and the guy from the Jets missed too. So it's I can't put it. You're never going to be perfect out there, especially when you're doing anything longer than 35. It's a 50-50 thing.
No, I think Zane Gonzalez, was a bright spot in this game, to be honest.
Yeah, and the thing is, you're in New Jersey, or you're in MetLife, which I think is in New Jersey. I think they actually do play in New Jersey. Yeah. You're outside. You got the weather, you got the wind. There's so many variables that go against that. And I don't think I've ever seen a kicker go 100% throughout an entire NFL season. I think they've come close. There's been 97s. Justin Tucker's been amazing in the past. Harrison Butker has been amazing in the past. But I've also seen Harrison Butker miss easy field goals. It happens to everybody.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, I think. But yeah, special teams just with that big. There was a big return that they gave up that ended up turning into a touchdown for the Jets, and then muffing the punt, and then basically giving the Jets a 2-yard drive to just punch it in on the very next play. It's bad. And the way that the Falcons were playing on offense is I felt like we were getting a good game out of Kirk Cousins. And through that first half, you were kind of seeing them start to put drives together. They were kind of trudging along, but you felt like they were going to break through. They were going to break through at any moment. And then that kickoff happens and they muff the punt. And it's like, okay, well, now this just became a lot harder. So the part of this game is, I'm sure you have the stats. I think we beat them statistically in almost every category.
Well, we
except for the
them.
Points.
We outgained them 389 yards to 269 total yards.
That's special teams. That's what special teams does to you.
Yeah. Tyrod Taylor. Okay, Tyrod Taylor didn't have the worst game, but
He
you
didn't look
saw that
great.
one play. You saw that one play where he just wouldn't go down, where they were literally ripping the sleeves off of him, and he just wouldn't go down.
Yeah, that
Like
was a third down.
I hate to give another guy props, but that was actually kind of badass. That was actually really fucking cool.
Yeah,
that was like a little superhero play back there. I mean, come on, it was cool.
I guess, man, it's very frustrating to me. I'm tired of seeing mobile quarterbacks like be the bane of our existence. And you think with like,
he's not even a mobile quarterback.
Not really, but just quarterbacks that stay alive. You know,
yeah. I mean,
we could have been going against Kirk Cousins, and he would have done that shit to us.
And then
it just seems like that's how the Falcons roll.
If you told me on paper, if you told me that we kept Breece Hall to 19 carries for 68 yards with only one touchdown, I'd be like, hell yeah, we fucking dominated that game. Well, we still ended up losing that game. And look at what we did to Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor was 19 for 33, 172 yards with only one touchdown. He did. Like I said, he's not the most mobile quarterback, but he did have 8 rushes for 44 yards and a rushing touchdown, which is completely deplorable, which is completely awful. That's astounding that a 35-year-old
Taylor,
a 35-year-old backup quarterback was able to do that to us. Yep. And then you had Mitchell, who had a legit breakout, 8 catches, 102 yards, and a 52-yard.
Didn't they get him out of that trade touchdown to the Colts?
They did. Okay. They did. They got and that's one thing that bothers me is like they traded away Sauce Gardner. They traded away, I can't remember the other guy they traded away.
They got 2 first-round picks out of it though.
But he was another Pro Bowl player that they traded away, or like an all-star for the Jets. And they got 2 first-round picks about it. And then they have Mitchell. And granted, the reason Mitchell got traded from the Colts was because of that play earlier this season where he dropped the ball right before he went into the end zone. Yep. But then you have him here in New York with 8 catches for 102 yards. So like, and on top of that, they got Breece Hall. They're starting to get the pieces on their offense. Now they have 2 first-round picks. So like, what's fucked up is the Jets might turn into a good team in the next couple of seasons.
Well, you know, the funny thing is that I really feel like New York Jets fans and probably the team knows like, hey, we should be tanking right now. And the Falcons fucked that up for them a little bit. So
yeah,
well, we're out taking you. We're not going to get anything.
Yeah, they could have tanked if they wanted to. You could have missed that fucking field goal. You could have had him go for it instead of kicking the field goal.
That field goal, Nick Folk, 56-yarder in the rain, barely sneaks through for a walk-off win, it makes it hurt even worse. But look, man. So a lot of things with this, and we talked about special teams first, and I want to read this quote from Raheem Morris. So this is from Joe Patrick. He said, Raheem Morris on Pro Bowl special teamer and wide receiver Kadarius Hodge, who was a healthy scratch on Sunday, like asking why he didn't play. Raheem's words, last week he didn't do some things right, so we had to make a change there to get a spark. A Pro Bowler on your special teams. You sat him, and he's healthy.
The spark you were looking for?
This wasn't the spark I was looking for, that's for sure. Not to mention.
Did you get that? Yeah.
Not to mention, benching Kadarius Hodge, it doesn't just affect our special teams. Our wide receiver room is fucked right now. Mm-hmm. Drake London's not here. Had he been here, sure, maybe you could afford that. But David Sills ain't he's not making the difference out there. And I'm glad that Kirk is finding him because thank God we have another receiver not named Darnell Mooney who is incapable of catching a ball right now.
Yeah. Isn't he like one of the most disappointing fucking signs we've had?
Not last year he wasn't, but this year he is. But here's another thing.
Disappointing.
Talk about last year. Kirk Cousins and Kadarius Hodge had a nice connection.
Yeah, they did.
They made a lot of cool plays. And I mean, Kadarius Hodge made good plays with Michael Penix as well. But
it's almost like there's some collusion going on where fucking Raheem wants to give his buddies in L.A. the best draft pick he can give them.
I try so hard not to believe that, but God, he's making it hard for me to not think that. There's a lot of bad things going on.
Let me read you this.
It's getting worse every week.
Because
Marquise Williams, our special teams coordinator, on Tuesday, still employed.
When you do shit like that to special teams, it almost seems like you are purposely trying to tank. Because when you look at these numbers, there's no reason outside of special teams that you should have lost this game. Because you had Kirk Cousins, who was 21 for 33, 234 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Bijan Robinson, who went absolutely off.
Finally got a great game out of him, yeah.
23 carries, 142 yards, a touchdown, 5 catches for 51 yards. So that's totaling 193 yards. You had Tyler Algier, 8 carries, 20 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 catches, 35 yards. Kyle Pitts, 7 catches, 82 yards.
His best game of the season.
His best game of the season. So when you look at that, you're like, man, they dominated, but they lost, and they lost solely because of special fucking teams. So it's almost like you threw in the towel where you could so that we would lose.
Man, that's what it feels like, which sucks. Here's something that I think is interesting talking about old Raheem Morris. Our old friend Ray McLeod popped up on Twitter this week after the game, by the way, and retweeted someone else. But the tweet says, Raheem lost this team since he got rid of Ike Hilliard and Ray. Mm-hmm. And Ray said, it basically reposted that, endorsing that quote. And I totally believe that, because think about when that happened. You fired your wide receiver coach to cover up a shitty loss against the Panthers.
Yep.
And it doesn't seem for any other reason than that.
He was nothing but the scapegoat.
Because the wide receiver room, now it's even more thin, and we're not getting good play out of them. They're dropping balls, man.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but how did the wide receivers lose that game for us?
Well, there were 2 big drops. 2 big drops that hit them right on the hands that could have been what kept us going instead of giving the ball back to the Jets for them to win the game. One of them was David Sills, and one of them was Darnell Mooney. But what I want to say is that firing Ike Hilliard and then promoting TJ Yates, who was our wide receiver coach last year, which we didn't really feel good about wide receivers last year either. If anything, Drake London has kind of taken a step above this year, but I think a lot of that has to do with just Mike Penix wasn't comfortable throwing to anybody other than Drake London when he was playing. So I don't know, like for them to fire a coach like that and to start pissing off guys on the team, because I guarantee you Ray's not the only one that felt that way when they fired him. I think he was probably just the most vocal about it, and then ends up getting cut. Remember, he was a healthy scratch as well, for personal reasons. I don't know if that's because he said, fuck you, I'm not going to play. But this is just bad management from Raheem Morris. It's just more evidence of that. And you were so quick to fire Ike Hilliard after week 3 because you had a bad loss to a team that you thought was the worst in the league. By the way, they're making a run for the division right now while we're looking from the outside in. I mean, statistically, like, we are not eliminated from the playoffs, but everyone in that fucking locker room knows that we're
not
eliminated
from the playoffs just because of how shitty the NFC South is right now.
But it's going to take a lot.
That's the only reason.
It's going to take a lot, man. And
we are not getting to the playoffs.
No,
we are not getting to the playoffs.
And I say this every week. Nothing is going to change as long as this coaching staff is employed. And I mean all of them, man. Like, even Jeff Ulbricht's starting to disappoint me now.
So when we talk about that, when we talk about certain changes that need to be made to the Falcons, of course, you got to fire all the head coaches, all of them. But also, there's something we have to do, and you and I are going to go over some scenarios together because I really want to hear your opinion of this. There's got to be something we have to do to bridge the gap when it comes to quarterbacking, because I don't think Penix is the answer. I think even after he gets healthy next year, with the things we've seen with his inability to play under center and his inability to scramble when it's time to, I don't think Penix is the answer. Maybe with proper coaching he is, but I think there's something we got to do to bridge the gap. I kind of think it might not be the worst thing in the world to kind of still hold on to Kirk Cousins and kind of try to bridge a gap and draft a round 2 quarterback, draft a rookie who can actually learn under Kirk Cousins the way that Penix was supposed to.
Okay, well, here's the problem with that. So you eat $25 million by keeping Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins probably gives you, and it's hard to say this with confidence, but he probably gives you a better chance to win next season versus, a bridge gap quarterback like Tyrod or Mac Jones or Jacoby Brissett.
What do you think about Justin Fields?
Or Justin Fields. My thing is next year you can tank for a quarterback. And if you want to eat $25 million and have Kirk Cousins win you 6-7 games and not get that top 5 pick, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure that's. I think you got to cut ties, man. You got to cut ties. Yeah. You got to cut ties with the entire coaching staff. You got to cut ties with Kirk Cousins. I do think that he looks better Right now, the offense certainly looks better right now because we're lining up under center. And if the truth is that Michael Penix can't play under center, you got to cut bait on him too. And I would tell the new general manager and the new head coach that don't worry. Like, listen, the quarterback thing, that's wide open. We got to figure that out. But I do want to keep. You do have to keep Bijan. You do have to keep London.
Absolutely. You don't have to keep Pitt, but hold on.
You do not have to keep
got there yet, because the option B is like, okay, you sign a young veteran, somebody who's still young, still relatively close to their rookie age, and
let's say Mac Jones,
and you try to force Cousins and Penix, or basically allow them to walk. Mm-hmm. Who do you think we could even draw to Atlanta in that situation? Granted, let's say hypothetically we get rid of the coaching staff, we get good coaches. Now, who do you think wants to come and play with Atlanta with all the holes we still have, with the depleted receiving core we have, with the holes that we have in the offensive line, with the offensive line we can't get rid of because most of them are still under contract. So even if
I think the offensive line is worth keeping. Personally, you are going to get McGarry back next year. And he's under contract. Absolutely. And that's going to upgrade your offensive line, especially when it comes to your run protection. I have a hard time thinking that any coaches would want to come here. You're going to get another fucking Arthur Smith, giving a coordinator his first shot.
I think we fucked up so bad in the interview process.
We did.
That all the good coaches we could have had, it put a bad taste in the rest of the NFL's mouths that we had stellar coaches interview here. Johnson, Vrabel, fucking
Mike
Harbaugh.
McDonald, Harbaugh, yeah. All guys that are leading their divisions. You
passed
right now.
on all of them. You passed on all of them and just hired your homie who is a terrible head coach to begin with. And so, what does that say to the rest of the NFL? It says that this organization doesn't take winning seriously, that they're more of a passionate, they're more of a camaraderie. They're not worried about winning. They're not worried about my best interest as a coach. I'm going to go to Atlanta and be made a fool of, because even if a good coach does come here, I feel like there's still things going on in the front office with Arthur Smith and everybody else that's holding a head coach back from being what they're capable of being.
Yeah, there's a guy named Rich McKay who apparently is, not involved in the football stuff, but he's there in the organization, and I know he was there for a lot of these interviews. He's got Arthur Blank's ear, and I don't care what they say publicly. There's no reason for us to think that he doesn't, and that's how we end up with Raheem Morris. And I get it. I'm sure Raheem is a cool guy, and I'm sure players like being around him, and maybe everyone's allowed to do what they want to do in the locker room, but there's not enough
That's the things that they say about Raheem is that he's cool and he's easy to get along with and blah, blah, blah. It's I kind of want my head coach to be a dick and to discipline me and make me go out there and play my best football.
Yes.
I don't need my coach to be my friend. If I can confide in him every now and then, cool. But it's also all right, dude, fucking suck it up. Go out there and play good football. I'm going to put you on the bench. I need that nastiness. I need that fucking, I kind of need my head coach to be a prick.
Yeah, well, you need to be sitting in that film room earlier in the week after a bad loss, and show all these plays where there wasn't enough effort or there wasn't enough attention, and you have to bust their ass. You have to say what is this? Mm-hmm. Do you want to play in the NFL? Because that doesn't look like someone who wants to play in the NFL. We're seeing that a lot, especially on the fucking special teams. Why was that punt that was muffed and that they took it at the 2 and punched it in?
Oh my God!
Why would you even field that? Why would you even field that? It's not going to die right there. Dude. It's either going to go into the end zone for a touchback or it's going to bounce back further. But you catching it there is just stupid.
And then the next question I have is
coaching.
Well, it's not the question I have. It's something we definitely have to rely on, but we got to see how we do it. Is you got to rebuild the receiving core, but how do you do that? Do you start trying? Do we have a good enough? Do we have a good enough defense though to where we can use our drafting and use our free agency to just target receivers? Because we definitely need to at least try.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, dude, the young defensive core here, and dude, there's a lot of them now. You got Watts, you got Jalen Walker, James Pierce, Billy Bowman, Rukaroro, Brandon Dorless. Your staples are there. The guys you got to think about keeping around, Jesse Bates, maybe, David Onyemata, maybe. But everyone else, and Leonard Floyd, he's been fine, and I'm sure he's good to have in the locker room as a veteran.
Leonard Floyd's probably going to be out the door soon, though.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So it's guys like that you'd have to replace, but you still got Abikadi, who's part of the young core. On the defense, I'm happy with everything that we had.
The one thing I really don't think we have to worry about at all is our pass rush. We don't need to fix our pass rush.
No, we finally
Pass rush
fixed
is
it.
fine.
We're
Pass
actually,
rush is fine.
dude, listen to this shit. We're top 3 in the NFL in sacks this year, which I don't remember any time in my lifetime where the Falcons were that high in quarterback sacks and pressures. That was always our issue, is that we couldn't get to the quarterback. But we have a losing record, and we're top 3 in sacks.
Yeah,
and a lot of this. Let's talk about our old buddy, the old pistol pimp, Zach Robinson, man. Like this whole thing, I'm not sure I believe that the only thing that changed to make him start playing under center, because he did it again this week, and in fact this week only came out in the pistol 6 times. And I think that's a little interesting too, because we came out in the pistol actually more than that, but Kirk Cousins would call an audible and change it to shotgun, which I hope that was his idea, because I don't believe it was Zach Robinson's, because Zach Robinson just loves to be in the pistol. But just the incompetence to at this point in the season say that now I'm going to start it, because the offense looks completely different now because we're under center, even depleted with the wide receivers. Like, we're still able to make plays. Like, Kirk Cousins is able to fool people with play action. Bijan's able to get going. We're able to use Algier in the situations that we like to use him, and all of that's under center, where it was the complete fucking opposite for the first 9 games of the season, or the first, let's say, the first 10 games.
At the same time, when it comes to that, though, do you really think there's no offensive lines we need to make? Because I think, like, our interior linemen, we could use just a little bit of help there. I don't think we need to put all of our eggs in that basket, but it would make it easier to not have to play under center.
Yeah, yes and no. I think playing under center is good. Like, that's where play action works the best.
No. I'm not arguing with you. I do think playing under center is good, but it's like we've been saying in this entire episode, like, once another team realizes your script and you become predictable, that's when everything falls apart. So you can't be a team that only plays under center.
No, we're not going to. We're going to come out in shotgun, and we're going to use pistol as well. But the fact that, like, the reliance on it, and like just like the absurdity of how much we used it this season, and we never saw good results
Raheem
from
say
it.
that we were playing to Penix's fucking strength or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Whatever his fucking
He said,
excuse
you do
was
what
that
your
week.
quarterback can do.
Yeah, whatever he said that fucking week.
Do you believe that?
No, I don't believe it at all.
I don't believe it at all. Drop back? If he is, he should have never started at all.
The thing is that, okay, I don't believe Penix can do a 7-step drop out because he wasn't doing it in college. And on top of that, in college, he tore his ACL, fucked up his shoulder, tore his ACL, fucked up his shoulder. Now he's tearing his ACL and fucking up his shoulder again in the fucking NFL. Like, you know, like, no, I don't
Another
think
reason
he can play under
to
center.
fire
I
Terry
genuinely
Font
don't.
Yeah, you got to get rid of Terry
I
Font
genuinely do not think that he can play under center. I don't, because he wasn't doing it in Washington.
Then he should have never been the quarterback for the Falcons. I mean, plain and simple. Plain and simple.
And I think
you cannot run an offense like that.
I think they were hoping. I think they were hoping to get him some time under Kirk Cousins to learn, but then Kirk Cousins shit the bed and got hurt, and they had to very prematurely put him in, and he somehow looked okay for a game or two, and they were like, oh, we're going to roll with him. And then when you get here and you see, like, oh, we don't have a fundamental quarterback. We don't have a quarterback that knows how to quarterback in the NFL. Right. Oh, shit, we're fucked. And then him getting hurt was a fucking blessing, because you get a player out there that can play under center, but then you have special teams who just shits the fucking bed, and you still can't win a game.
Right. Kirk Cousins has looked good the last 2 weeks.
He looked amazing. The last 2 weeks.
Well, but let's slow down here. Against who?
He looked Atlanta amazing.
But against who? The Saints and the Jets?
Against teams that Atlanta
the Jets
can
traded
look
their best player
right now,
who happened to be on defense. He's not even there anymore. But yes, I put most of this blame on the special teams for this game.
But speaking of trades, that's another thing I feel like we have to address. I feel like there should be some conversations where we have with, say, the Titans, or say the fucking Browns, or say maybe even the Jets, where we trade away one of our guys and try to get a fucking first round pick back, try to get a first and second round pick out of. If we trade away somebody like Kyle Pitts or something like that, to where we can get good picks out of and use them to our advantage, it might be worth it in the long run.
Okay. Do you really think that we could get good picks out of Kyle Pitts at this point?
If we trade him right now before it's too fucking late, yes.
If that were the case, Joey, we would have traded him at the deadline.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I think so.
that they.
There's
I
no way in
think
hell we're
that-
getting a first rounder for him.
I
Not
think
at this point.
I think the front office has too much fucking pride to admit that they fucked up on a first round pick.
There's definitely a lot of that. And them sticking with it. That's just like with the Penix and Cousins situation. It's like everyone knew that this could be a disaster. And it's one of those decisions where, Terry Fontenot and Raheem Morris had to have had this conversation where it's like, you and I are going to get fired if this doesn't work out.
Yeah.
How's that worked out?
But also you can trade him for a guy that's going to be to a team that's going to have a high second round pick, because there's 32 teams in the NFL and pick 33 ain't that fucking bad.
It's not. I mean, and what, we got James Pierce at 26 or 27 or something.
That's what I'm saying.
But we traded that, and look, I'm not complaining about us getting James Pierce, because having him and Jalen Walker, I've enjoyed that, and I think that's good, and I think it's going to be good for the next 5 years at least. Let's see what happens. But you traded what looks like it's going to be a top 10 pick for what you took in the at the 27th pick.
Yeah,
like that's not.
But I'm saying
that
right
doesn't
now,
look good on paper.
Right now, what we need, we need new coaching. We need a young quarterback to develop. We need 2 new receivers. We need at least 1 more pass rusher, and we need a new special teams coordinator, and we need more of a modern scheme. And to get those receivers, we're going to have to do some trades. We're going to have to see who the free agencies are that we can afford, and we're going to have to make some fucking moves, because we need to good level, 2 above average good level receivers. We need them.
I agree, man. Yeah, no, because even if you do bring in, let's say you bring in a young quarterback in the second or third round, and you don't want to put him in his position where he has nobody to throw to. You don't want to be like the Saints, where it's like, yeah, we'll get a quarterback and tank for a while, and then hopefully we'll get our franchise guy. Like, we don't want to do that. That might be the path, though.
Yeah,
that might be the path.
Yeah,
you might have to get your receivers.
Or
you might have to get your quarterback after 2027 in that draft, and then you have to go get your number 2 receiver, and then spend some money on a number 3.
And why
the year after that.
Why I think there's still capital in Kyle Pitts is because Kyle Pitts can be an elite receiver if he's used correctly, but he's not an elite tight end. He's nowhere close to an elite tight end. But you have all these teams, all these good teams who love to run the fucking option, or love to run the play calling where they have 2 tight ends on the field. One does all the blocking, one does receiving. Kyle Pitts would thrive in those.
We're doing 3 against the Saints.
Yeah. And Kyle Pitts thrives. Kyle Pitts thrives in that. So if you get him in the right program, but the thing is, right now the Falcons need a tight end that's a tight end, and Kyle Pitts is not a complete tight end.
I agree. Yeah, you look at like the Travis Kelce's and the George Kittles, and I brought
Travis Kelce can block.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce can block like a motherfucker. George Kittle will run you the fuck over. This Tyler Wallen kid in Indianapolis, he will run you the fuck over.
George Kittle will block for a whole game and be on the highlight reel.
Kyle Pitts ain't doing that.
No, he's not. No, and
I've seen Kyle Pitts run from a block.
I have too. And again, like we said that this game, and I really believe that this game against the Jets was his best game of the season. And what do you have? 80 yards?
87.
Okay. Best game of the season under Kirk Cousins. And granted, Drake London wasn't there.
But if you're a unicorn, I need you to have 80 yards every fucking game, and I need you to block.
That's what you would think. Yeah, the unicorn in the fact that he's not really a tight end. It's like he's a guy that's in the tight end room, and he's not supposed to be there.
No, he's just a really tall receiver. That's all the fuck he is, because he's not even that big. He's not even tight end size, dude. No. He's not. Like, he's tall, but he's not big.
He's not wide.
Those guys that we mentioned, George Kittle, Travis Kelce, Tyler Wallen, they tower over him. Yeah. Even motherfuckers like Darren Waller. Darren Waller is a phenomenal tight end, but he's a tight end, dude.
A real tight end. Yeah. Yeah. It's just he's not the prototypical tight end for me. It's like, and I can skip the unicorn shit next time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And people don't understand when it comes to tight end, like, this is a new generation of tight ends where you're seeing tight ends make, 60-yard touchdowns and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, these guys that you're seeing make these highlight plays, when their receivers are making 80-yard passes, when their fucking running backs are making 80-yard fucking runs to the end zone, it's because the tight end is blocking. There's a big hole right there where the tight end plays, where if they're not blocking correctly, the defensive linemen are going to get in there and they're going to pancake the running back. They're going to pancake the fucking quarterback. So the tight end has to block. They have to be a full.
You're an extension of the offensive line.
A tight end is a lineman who can catch the ball. That's what it is. That's all it is.
Right.
And Kyle Pitts
can't throw the ball to your center.
That.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts is not that.
No, he's absolutely not. He's absolutely not. And it doesn't fit.
I say trade him away and get the highest value you can get.
I think we would have been lucky to get a third rounder for him at the trade deadline, and I think that's passed. I think we have to let him walk. I think we have to let him walk.
I think we can get at least a second rounder for him. I think we can get at least a second round for him.
I think if that was the case, they would have done it already. I really do.
But I think regardless, Kyle Pitts does not need to suit up for the 2026 Atlanta Falcons.
No, I'm done with him. Dude, I was talking about this at the Thanksgiving table with my family, and we got into the Falcons thing. And you know me, I was just going in on it. And my brother-in-law's dad, who's a lifelong Falcons fan, moved here the same year that the Falcons started, and just has been a fan ever since. And he
66,
yeah,
baby.
he brought it up that like he was out on Kyle Pitts. He was like, he can just be gone. And I think we all feel that way, man. We all do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the front office has got to feel that way. And you know what? Fuck the front office. They got to go too.
The front office doesn't listen to the people. Is the fucking problem.
Who are they listening to? Is Arthur Blank saying this stuff? Is Rich McKay saying this stuff?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't seem like the Atlanta front office. It doesn't seem like they're fans of their own team. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like they're playing to win it all. They're trying to do cool, flashy shit.
They think they're smart, but it's like
they think they're smart.
Everyone looking from the outside is just like, what the fuck are these guys doing?
They think they're smart by fucking drafting Kyle Pitts higher than any tight end aside from Mike Ditka has ever been drafted. Right. But look how that turned out. You were trying to make
not even Mike Ditka got drafted that high.
And I think that you were hyping up Kyle Pitts more than he needed to be to make us believe in what he was. But even his first season, like you sit there and tell me his first season was good, cool, but he had one touchdown that entire season.
He did, and it was against the Jets.
That entire season.
Yeah.
That entire season, he had one touchdown. And
he did break 1,000 yards, but also that was the first year that we had an extra game in the season. So, like, he broke Mike Ditka's record, but it's like Mike Ditka did it in 16 games.
And then what has he done
Maybe less,
since
actually,
then?
I think, back then. He hadn't done shit.
But what has he done since then?
He hasn't done anything.
You know?
He hasn't done anything.
Because goes back to what we were saying. This entire episode has kind of had a theme. And it has been like, once you give the other teams the blueprint, they're going to play to that. And Kyle Pitts' number has been up since his first fucking season.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think after Matt Ryan was gone, you saw like Kyle Pitts just, it wasn't going to happen. Not that he's had great quarterbacks, but like there's other guys that have had great seasons under this team. Drake London being one of them, and Darnell Mooney last year had a pretty good season with Kirk Cousins. So no reason why Kyle Pitts couldn't be getting these things other than like the effort's not there or just the skill set's not there. Something ain't right with this guy. And we were sold that he was going to be, and when they drafted him, man, and now that I'm thinking about it, it was the year that Julio left and we had that high draft pick. We had that top 5 pick, number 4. And, I think that they honestly thought they were getting another Julio. Well, we'll replace Julio with Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
Sounds fucking insane, doesn't it?
We'll replace one of the greatest receivers of our generation with a tight end
time.
With a tight end that can't play his position.
Right. And it's like they brought him in saying like, oh, this guy's a sure bet to be a superstar on offense, and he's going to put asses in the seats. They did that with Bijan, and Bijan's that way. He did sell a lot of jerseys. You know why? Because at the time we had Matt Ryan, and then we had this new kid, Kyle Pitts, and we had Todd Gurley, which he also sold a lot of jerseys, didn't he?
He did sell a lot of jerseys.
I still
didn't buy one, did you?
Fuck no. Fuck no. I knew that was going to be a disaster, man. I lived through Steven Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah, so did I.
Yeah. So I saw that shit coming from a mile away. Like the reason we got him so cheap for a team that sucked coming in with a new coach, I knew exactly why.
Yep. So yeah, that's about all I can say about the Falcons this week. There's a lot of changes that have to be made. And as much as fans may or may not want to hear it. You might have to give up one of the jerseys you bought. You might have to give up one of your favorite players for the betterment of the team. I think the only people who are truly safe are Drake and Bajan, and that's about it. But I could even see them trying to make a move with Drake. It would be fucked up, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, no, it would be fucked up. I hope they don't do that. I think that whoever they bring in, general manager wise, head coach wise, they try and sell them like, we want a guy who sees this team as something good. The quarterback thing has got to be fixed. Everyone knows that. And it may take, at least 2 years to do that if we're lucky.
Mm-hmm.
But like getting rid of these guys, like, I don't think that's the move.
I will say, though, at the end of the day, I just am forever thankful that we did not end up acquiring Deshaun Jackson.
Deshaun Watson, you mean?
Deshaun Watson,
yeah,
I mean.
Deshaun Jackson, yeah. Although he was a fucking badass receiver back in the day.
Deshaun Jackson would have been great. I meant Watson.
Yeah. Deshaun, okay. Yeah, me too, man. But that was kind of the start of this entire fucking mess.
Yeah.
Not that Matt Ryan would still be playing for us, but like that made the organization start to look like it was heading in the wrong place.
If you look at it, when Matt Ryan went to the Colts, I did see glimpses of like, okay, it was time for him to go. It was.
Yeah, but what do we have after that? Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ritter,
Kirk Cousins, Desmond Ritter, Kirk Cousins, and Michael Penix.
It's like, how many fucking quarterbacks are we going to have before we get another guy that makes us feel like, okay, we finally recovered from this Matt Ryan?
The fucking Desmond Ritter season was so bad that like I often forget that he even actually played quarterback for us.
Oh, it was awful, man. It was so bad. And then last year, late in the season, we played against the Raiders when Ritter was starting. And he almost beat us. And I was like, I'm going to fucking jump off the tallest building in the city of Atlanta. And I'm going to call the news to come bring the helicopters to watch me do it if that happens.
Yeah. But in all honesty, when you think about it, I mean, like, we joke about Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor might actually fit in here.
We need a stopgap guy, dude. I think he's on the list. I mean, you need somebody who can come in, learn the playbook, and get us through a season.
Just get us through the season. Like, in all honesty, just get us a winning season. Give us some promise. Give us a glimpse.
Get us in a tank, man.
Yeah.
We might have to tank again. It sucks. It's like, how many years are we going to miss the playoffs? Like, when are we going to get back? Year 14?
But then you got to look at the fucking draft class too, and it's like, okay, who are we tanking for at the same time?
Yeah, but there's a lot of things that we need. I mean, quarterback being number one. Number one, we need
because
that.
I would hate to tank and then like, okay, well, we only got a receiver out of this, so we need to tank again. Oh, well, we got our quarterback, but we still need this. It's like, how many years are we gonna have to tank?
Well, you can't afford to just get one guy that you need out of these drafts. Like, you got to hit on every round. And look, Terry Fontenot, he got some good players.
Hit on the first round because we don't have a first round pick.
Well, you got to hit on 2, 3, 4, and 5. Like,
and that's why I'm saying we're at the point now where we're bleeding out, and we need to try to trade. We need to try to pull something out of our ass to trade into the first round.
I don't know. I'm not that desperate to continue to mortgage the future. We tried that. I like what we got, but let's not make that worse. Like, let's not watch Bijan go to Kansas City, and bring them back to life and they win 3 more championships while we're still tanking. Like, I don't want that. I do not want that. I think you gotta tank. Yeah. You got to pay these players. Well, you got to pay the young guys. You got to keep, while this defense is cheap.
Kansas City is going to need a tight end here soon.
Fucking take him. I'll pay you to take him. Take Kyle Pitts. I don't care.
Take him.
Yeah.
Watch Kyle Pitts go to Kansas City and just become like the best tight end in the fucking league.
You know what? It wouldn't be the most shocking thing to me just because of our incompetent coaching. And again, I know we're talking about like players and all that and saying Kyle Pitts wasn't good enough. The coaching that we've had here has not been good. It has not been good since Mike Smith.
Our incompetency as an organization goes way past that. Do y'all not remember that when we were kids, they drafted Brett motherfucking Favre and then let him go
quickly.
Let him go. Yep. Let Brett Favre go.
Yeah.
Brett Favre.
Yes, they did.
So, I don't want to hear it. It's been happening my entire fucking life. My entire life.
Yes. This has become the podcast of misery, but at the same time, it's like, I care about this team, and that's why I get, this in depth, like as far as what I think we need to do, because I want to see the best. I really do. And unfortunately, watching the NFL for as many years as you and I have, you got to tank sometimes. You got to tank sometimes. The Patriots disappeared, for 5 years almost, and now look at them.
Look at them now. Look at them now.
The Bears.
Although I will
same
say,
thing.
I think the Browns
Even
have been
longer.
tanking my entire life, and it hasn't worked out for them.
I don't want to be them, and we could be them.
That's
because
what we're
of our ownership
towards.
And because of the hires that we make. Arthur Smith was not a good idea. And unfortunately, they put themselves in this position where who the fuck would want to come here and coach? It's got to be a brand new coordinator getting his first shot. Now, there were guys that we interviewed that we didn't give it to, like Mike Vrabel and Ben Johnson, who we talked about.
I really think we shit the bed on Johnson and Harbaugh. I would have loved
to have Harbaugh, but he was coming off of some trouble in Michigan, and there was a lot of, bad news stories about him and all that. I don't give a fuck about any of that shit.
I don't care.
I really don't care. But Ben Johnson, that was Ben Johnson and Mike Vrabel were my 1 and 2 that I wanted in that during the coaching search.
Both of their teams, the Patriots are 10 and 2 now, and the fucking Bears are 9 and 3.
I think they might both be 9 and 3, but maybe the Patriots are 10 and 2. But yeah, no, they're both leading their division and they're looking great, and the fan bases are energized.
Well, no, the Patriots beat the Giants last night.
Okay, yeah, so maybe you're right about that. Let's see right here. I got it right.
Was that their 9th win or their 10th win? Where Koo fucking kicked the ground?
Dude, they're 11 and 2. They're 11 and 2.
They're 11 and 2. Yeah. Okay, yeah. They're the best team in the NFL right now.
They have the most wins in the NFL.
Yeah, they're the best team in the NFL right now.
Mike Vrabel. Yep.
Yeah. Well, a guy that we could have got.
That's who I wanted. But yes, let's talk about the Koo thing. All those Falcons fans when we had Parker Romo.
We're inching towards 2 hours now.
This is the last thing we're going to say. This is the last thing we're going to say.
I'm completely okay with it.
Yeah. This is the last thing we're going to say. Was when Parker Romo was kicking for us and we cut him, and now we got Zane Gonzalez. And like I said, Zane Gonzalez should get some credit for this Jets game. It feels like we have a reliable kicker now, which is, thank God it took us this long to get one. But there were so many people when we had Parker Romo, when he was starting to miss, people were like, Koo would have made that. Koo could not get the ball with his toe. I've never seen a kicker kick into the dirt and completely miss the ball like that, which I don't know does that count as a miss? I mean, it's a live ball. It's been snapped.
Very much.
Yeah.
So. Well, I guess the placeholder did pick it up and try to run with it. So
it's a live ball. I mean, well, yeah, and it was just a 4th down stop is what it ended up being. But my God, Koo.
Oh, Jesus Christ. How did he not break his ankle doing that?
Right. And then, with the shit that you hear about him, changing up his feet, changing up his stance. I heard John Gruden was talking about, dude, he was on a great podcast with, it was Matt Ryan and Aaron Donald. I don't know if you've seen this podcast. It's called The Inner Circle.
Their podcast.
Holy shit, it's so good.
Their podcast is
They had
awesome.
John Gruden on last week.
They do it the most low quality way possible. They're just zooming on their cell phones.
Oh, but it's awesome. It's so good. So John Gruden was talking about Kirk Cousins, and he didn't specify when this happened, but I think we can guess when this happened, because when his last year at Minnesota, he was literally looking like he was going for an MVP season, and then he ruptured his Achilles in week 8.
Yeah, tore his Achilles.
So then when he came to the Falcons, all of a sudden, he's not putting up numbers like that at all. And John Gruden said he had it again. Don't know when the timeline of this was. This could have been years ago, but John Gruden said that when he saw Kirk Cousins, that he was putting up 1,000, a trillion fucking yards every week, and then all of a sudden he's not. And he's like, "What happened?" He's like, "Well, I changed my feet. Coaches wanted me to change my feet." And John Gruden said, "So change them back." And Koo should have done the same thing. You're kicking into the fucking dirt, dude.
Yeah, I don't know how.
Clearly, that shit's not working.
He must have been. There's no way. You get paid millions of dollars to do that.
He's still making money off the Falcons, man.
It should be fucking second nature.
Because he got roster bonus, and then he gets picked up by the Giants, and he's getting paid by them too.
Yeah,
and he's doing that. So
yeah. Well, there you have it. That's all we have for you guys this week. Tune in, because when you hear this later on this evening, it'll be a fun game. Should be a very interesting game, because I don't know if you've looked at what Thursday Night Football is, but it's going to be the Lions and the Cowboys. So I think I think the Cowboys might go on a third straight victory here.
Okay.
I think you're really going to see the Cowboys heating up here.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think they're going to be out St. Brown. Laporta is still on the IR as of right now as we're speaking. So if you're going to be down Laporta and you're down Brown and you're going to have to depend on Gibbs the entire game, don't see it working out for you. So I think the Cowboys are going to
defense
take
does suck though.
They suck, but they're good enough. But the offense is good enough to win.
I agree.
So we'll see. But that's it. We're A-Town Rundown. You can find us on YouTube at A-Town Rundown. You can find us on Instagram at A-Town Rundown. You can listen to Jeremy's band, Sunmancer, on all streaming platforms. You can listen to me on A-Town Rundown.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
But yeah, you guys have a great week. Be safe. Take care of each other. Try to find the hope in life and the camaraderie with other Falcons fans as we trudge through the rest of the season together. And hopefully next year during the off season, we find something worth looking forward to. And let's hope that the Falcons and the Braves and United and the Dream and fucking
the Atlanta Hawks
and the fucking College Park G League team,
the Skyhawks.
The Skyhawks and the Atlanta Gladiators and the fucking
you mean the Gwinnett Gladiators, yeah.
The Gwinnett Gladiators.
Got so many teams to root for, man. We don't have to be sad about the Falcons all the time.
And I hate it if you are, but if you're a UGA fan, hold your head high.
Yeah.
Try to find something to look forward to in these bleak, dark moments of being an Atlanta Falcons fan.
That's right.
But we will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for listening. Peace out. Rise up.
Rise up, guys.